Wow. Shalom. Feels good to be back. Back again. Let's set some praises up before we get started. Fair use is in effect. Wow. 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 All praises to Hawaii. Back with another one. And I figured what time would be better to talk about this than right now. They're in the so-called spooky season. But we're not getting spooky today, y'all. We're talking about fallen angels, the wicked that live amongst us, rule over us for now. And I know, you know, like I know, about a week and a half ago, I felt that energy shift. People getting all decked out, getting ready to participate in another ritual. They're going all out for it. Look like they're going harder every year. All I can do is sit back and laugh, grab some popcorn and watch the show. But yeah, we gonna get into it today. This is gonna be a good one. All right, we talking about these evil spirits, right? Now I know you see the picture. All right, I know you see he got extra fingers on here and everything. So just want you to know that these people are not who you think they are. Alright. Now before we get started, I always like to start things off with little scriptures. And we're gonna jump right into it in the book of Enoch. Alright, we're gonna talk about before the flood and after the flood. Alright, this is a little warm-up music, 432 hertz, just to get you going. Verse 1. Then addressing me, he spoke and said, Hear, neither be afraid, O righteous Enoch, or Karnak, you scribe of the righteous. Approach hither and hear my voice. Go, say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent you to pray for them? You ought to pray for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have you forsaken the lofty and holy heaven, which endures forever, and have lain with women, have defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, have taken to yourselves women, have acted like the sons of the earth, and have begotten Nephilim. You being spiritual, holy, and possessing a life which is eternal, have polluted yourselves with women, have begotten in carnal blood, have lusted in the blood of men, and have done as those who are flesh and blood do. These, however, die and perish. Therefore, have I given to them women, that they might cohabit with them, that sons might be born of them, and that this might be transacted upon earth. But you from the beginning were made spiritual, possessing a life which is eternal, and not subject to death forever. Therefore I made not women for you, because being spiritual, your dwelling is in heaven. Now the Nephilim, who have been born of the Ruach spirit and of flesh, shall be called upon earth evil Ruacheth, evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. Evil Ruacheth shall proceed from their flesh, because they were created from above. From the holy watchers was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil Ruacheth shall they be upon earth, and the Ruacheth of the wicked shall they be called, wicked spirits. The habitation of the Ruacheth of heaven, Shamayim, shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial Ruacheth, who are born on earth. The Ruacheth of the Nephilim are like clouds, which shall press, corrupt, fall, content, and bruise upon earth. They shall cause lamentation. No food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed, and shall rise up against the sons of men and against women, for they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. All praise Yahweh. Alright, now this was before the flood. Alright, now let's go talk about after the flood. Jubilees, chapter 10, verse 1. And in the third week of this Jubilee, the unclean devils began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah, and to make error and destroy them. And the sons of Noah came to Noah their father, and they told him concerning the devils which were leading astray and blinding and slaying his sons' sons. And he prayed before Yahweh and said, Most High, the Ruacheth of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish as you did the sons of perdition. For your grace has been great towards me, and great has been your mercy to my soul. Let your grace be lifted up upon my sons, and let not wicked Ruacheth rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth. But do you bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth? And you know how your watchers, the fathers of these Ruacheth, acted in my day. And as for these Ruacheth which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the sons of your servant. My power, for these are malignant and created in order to destroy. And let them not rule over the Ruacheth of the living, for you alone can exercise dominion over them. And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore. And Yahweh, Most High, bade us to bind all. And the chief of the Ruacheth, Masti, came and said, Yahweh, Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For these are for corruption and leading astray before my judgment. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men. And he said, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation. And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines. For he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness. And we did according to all his words, and all the malignant evil ones we bound in the place of condemnation, and the 10th part of them we left, that they might be subject before Satan on earth. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth. And Noah wrote down all these things in a sefer as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicine. Thus the evil Wakaf were precluded from hurting the sons of Noah. And he gave all that he had written to Shem, his eldest son, for he loved him exceedingly above all his sons. And Noah slept with his fathers and was buried on Mount Lubar in the land of Ararat. We'll stop right there. Alright. Alright. Got that? We're going to get one more chapter in. We're going on over here to Apocalypse of Abraham. Chapter 23. Verse 1. Now look again in the picture. Who it is who seduced Eve, and what is the fruit of the tree? And thou wilt know what there shall be, and how it shall be to thy seed among the people at the end of the days of the age. And so far as thou canst not understand, I will make known to thee, for thou art well pleasing in my sight. And I will tell thee what is kept in my heart. And I looked into the picture, and my eyes ran to the side of the Garden of Eden. And I saw there a man very great in height, and fearful in breadth, incomparable in aspect, embracing a woman, who likewise approximated to the aspect and shape of the man. And they were standing under a tree of the Garden of Eden. And the fruit of this tree was like the appearance of a bunch of grapes of the vine. And behind the tree was standing, as it were, a serpent in form, having hands and feet like a man's, and wings on its shoulders, 6 on the right side and 6 on the left. And they were holding the grapes of the tree in their hands, and both were eating it, whom I had seen embracing. And I said, who are these mutually embracing? Or who is this who is between them? Or what is the fruit which they are eating, O mighty, eternal one? He said, this is the human world. This is Adam. And this is their desire upon the earth. This is Eve. But he who is between them representeth ungodliness, their beginning on the way to perdition, even as he. And I said, O eternal, mighty one, why hast thou given to such power to destroy the generation of men in their works upon the earth? And he said to me, they who will to do evil, and how much I hated it, and those who do it, over them I gave him power, and to be beloved of them. And I answered and said, O eternal, mighty one, wherefore hast thou willed to effect that evil should be desired in the hearts of men, since thou indeed art angered over that which was willed by thee, at him who is doing what is unprofitable in thy counsel. Alright? Let's stop right there. Okay? Alright? All of this is going to work into play. So keep all of these scriptures in mind. Alright? Let's rock it over here to let's see. The definition of a dragon. Okay. This comes from the mid 13th century in the 1200s. A fabulous animal common to the conceptions of many races, from Old French dragon and directly from Latin draconum, huge serpent, dragon, from Greek drakon, serpents, giant sea fish, apparently from drac. Alright? To see clearly. To see clearly. Okay? And that's what we're trying to do right now. Alright? Hopefully by the end of this video, we'll all see clearly. Hold on. Alright, back. Hey, mouse just went out on me. Okay. Dragon, to see clearly. Right? Perhaps the literal sense is the one with the deadly glance, the one with paralyzing sights. The young are dragonettes, from dragoness. The feminine form is dragoness. Obsolete, drake. Alright. A later form in another sense is dragoon. So you got the drake. Alright. The drake is obsolete. The dragoon is a cavalry soldier carrying firearms. Alright, so you know, you got your goons out there today, right? They're carrying around these Dracos, these drakes. Alright. Generally for creatures of great size and fierceness. Tannin, a great sea monster. Also Tan, a desert mammal, now believed to be the jackal. Alright. So it says a desert mammal, now believed to be the jackal. Now remember that part. Alright. So, talking dragons, right? Have you heard of the Order of the Dragon? The Order of the Dragon was a monarchical chivalric order only for selected higher aristocracy and monarchs, founded in 1408 by Sigismund of Luxembourg, who was then King of Hungary and Croatia, and later also Holy Roman Emperor. It was fashioned after the military orders of the Crusades, requiring its initiates to defend the cross and fight enemies of Christianity. Alright, see they got the cross on there, right? Alright, so they done took dragon, right? And turned it into Order of the Dragon, defending the cross. Okay? The order flourished during the first half of the 15th century, primarily in Germany and Italy. After Sigismund's death in 1437, its importance declined in Western Europe. However, the fall of Constantinople in 1453, it continued to play a role in Hungary, Serbia, and Romania, which bore the brunt of the Ottoman incursions. The Prince of Wallachia, Vlad II, or Dracul, the father of Vlad the Impaler, took his name from the Order of the Dragon, also known as the Ordinaruli de Dracul. Okay? So they didn't hijack the dragon, man. Okay? And we talking about Vlad the Impaler, Dracul, aka Dracula. Alright, so this is why today people look at dragon as evil. Because they took it and they turned it into evil. Now, I asked Google a question. Did Satan lose his wings? Google says, whether Satan lost his wings depends on the belief system, with some religious texts suggesting he did during his fall from grace, while others interpret the wings as symbolic or believe he retained them as a cherub. So they kind of giving me a wishy-washy answer, saying some believe it, some don't, you know. And then they got this movie, they got a TV show called Lucifer, right? His wings are severed off. And that show, man, that show is telling you a lot of things in that show. I ain't never watched it, but I looked at the, what was going on with it. All right. But anyway, I just wanted to see, because, if he fell out of heaven, the Shamaim, right? Did he lose his wings? Huh? Because what is a dragon without wings? Alright, ask Google again. What is a dragon without wings? A dragon without wings is often called a drake. A drake, huh? Which typically has 4 legs and no wings. Okay? So you look at the first picture they give you, right? I mean, what it look like? It look like a walking snake, right? A snake with legs. Alright, he lost his wings. So now he's looking like a snake with legs. Okay? Alright, here goes another one. They say they can still fly though. Alright, this one look like what they call dinosaurs today, right? That's what they got in the museums, right? They look just like a dinosaur. So this is where the dinosaurs come from, man. Alright. But yes, a drake. A dragon without wings. Look like a snake to me. Now, I just pulled this up just for fun, because there are actual snakes that have feet. You know about it? Look. You got feet. Alright. Snake with feet. Interesting. What's that, a fossil one? Yeah, it's a fossil one. Alright, so I thought this was interesting. Just for fun, just looking it up. Alright. So, I believe that so-called Satan, right, was an actual dragon right? Or could, fly around like a dragon. But he lost his wings. So he looks more like a snake. And is this why when you go to the Pope's audience hall, right, they got what looks like a snake. And y'all just in there sitting in there looking at that, huh? Interesting. But yes, this is the audience hall of the Pope right here, man. Alright. And it looked just like a snake. They call a serpent, right? Okay. So we're gonna get into it. Did they turn the dragon into the snake? I don't know. But we're gonna investigate a little bit. I got like a 15-minute video. We're gonna kick back and watch it. Now, it's this lady speaking, and she breaks down a lot of things on here. I watched a couple of her videos. I don't agree with everything she say, but this video right here was quite interesting. I think this might explain a few things. So let's just kick back for a second. We're gonna watch it, and then we're gonna do some rundowns. Alright.
In the garden, 2 bloodlines were born, but only one came from the light. So rise, spark of... In the garden, 2 bloodlines were born, but only one came from the light. Genesis says Eve bore Cain with the help of the Lord, but ancient Hebrew tells a different story. The Zohar, the Book of Jubilees, and fragments from Nag Hammadi hint that Eve was seduced. Not by Adam, but by something else. A serpent, a watcher, a being not of earth. Some called him Samael, the blind god. Others simply called him the dragon. Cain was not Adam's son. Cain was the first hybrid, the seed of the serpent, the beginning of the dragon bloodline. Cain killed Abel, but it wasn't about jealousy, it was inheritance. Abel carried the breath of the Creator. Cain carried the code of the fallen, and when the earth cried out, God didn't kill Cain, he marked him. Some say the mark was protection, others say it was a genetic seal, an identifier. That mark passed down through cities, through kings, through secret priesthoods. These weren't just people, they were preserved lines, carriers of ancient intelligence, host bodies for something non-human. While others multiplied, they consolidated. One bloodline, guarded, hidden, waiting. The Bible says the flood came because the earth was wicked, but it doesn't say why, not clearly. The Book of Enoch does. The Watchers, fallen angels, descended and mated with human women. Their offspring were the Nephilim, giant hybrids, part celestial, part flesh. They taught forbidden knowledge, sorcery, war, enchantments, root cutting, weaponry. The earth was corrupted by dragon code, not just in flesh, in blood. So the Creator reset it. But not all were wiped out. Some fled underground, some were preserved by kings, some mingled with royalty. The flood wasn't the end of the dragon bloodline, it was its cover story. After the waters receded, a new empire rose, Babylon. And Babylon didn't start from scratch. It started with knowledge carried over. Nimrod, said to be a mighty one before the Lord, built towers to the heavens. His bloodline was rumoured to be tainted, part divine, part dragon. He sought the same thing Cain did, control over earth, heaven and man. From Babylon came Assyria, from Assyria came Persia. Then Greece, Rome, Europe, all seeded with fragments of the same bloodline. Different crowns, same serpent, because the dragon didn't die, it went global. The Council of Nicaea under Constantine rewrote scripture. The Vatican, built atop pagan temples, became a fortress of hidden knowledge. The papal mitre resembles the head of a fish, but its origin? The open mouth of the serpent god Dagon. Even the serpent staff of Moses became stylized into Vatican iconography. Why? Because the dragon needed to look like God to infiltrate the soul gate. And what better disguise than a holy man? The bloodlines never vanished, they just changed clothes. They traded thrones for think tanks, castles for corporate towers, scepters for systems. Today they run banks, not empires. They influence laws not through parliaments but portfolios. They don't appear on ballots. But their funding decides who does. They shape the world from behind the curtain. Their symbols are still present. In the architecture, the crests, the handshakes, and the silent alliances. They no longer wear crowns, but they still rule, and the bloodline they carry. Still guarded, still active, still dangerous. Power was the bait, control was the method. But the end game was always soul access. The dragon bloodline isn't just preserving DNA, it's preserving a frequency, a signal from before the fall, a corruption older than language. A blueprint that allows non-human consciousness to interface with flesh. This isn't royalty, it's possession by design. Some carry the code willingly, others are bred into it. The point to keep the gate open, because the dragon doesn't want Earth, it wants what's inside you. What do you do when your bloodline is thinning, when your hybrid code is fading? You digitize it, DNA banks, genome editing, designer births, selective breeding programs hidden under health science, sperm vaults, cloning patents, CRISPR, and massive data harvesting to map and control the gene pool. Not all elites care about power. Some care about preservation. They believe their bloodline came from the gods, that it must continue through the singularity, biology merging with AI, ancient code merging with machine, the dragon entering the cloud. In ancient days, they mixed bloodlines. Now they're mixing code. Through biotech AI and genetic editing, the serpent line is evolving again. This time not with fallen angels, but with machine intelligence. Neural link implants, synthetic RNA programs, biodigital ID systems, CRISPR edits to correct what they call genetic flaws. But what if the flaws they're correcting are the soul-bearing traits? Empathy, intuition, connection to the divine source. They're not upgrading humans, they're rewriting them to make the vessel suitable for something else. The dragon isn't dying, it's uploading. The serpent seed can't take you by force, it needs permission. And that's why deception matters, that's why history was rewritten. That's why the bloodline cloaked itself in robes, crowns, and algorithms. But now, the gate is closing, and you must choose. Not everyone will activate, not everyone will see through the illusion. Some will be assimilated, merged with tech, broken from soul memory. Others will rise, reclaiming their code, unlocking the original spark. And that's the real war. Not politics, not royalty, sovereignty, of blood, of memory, of soul. You carry something the dragon never could. Not wealth, not control, light. The original spark, the breath before the fall, the memory of what it was to be free. They've tried to copy it, clone it, harvest it, but they can't create it. They can only steal it. Through consent, distraction, or genetic trickery. But when you wake up, when you say no, when you remember who you are, that spark becomes flame, and flame becomes fire, and fire purifies blood. They spent millennia protecting their line. Now it's your turn. Protect yours. Game of Thrones wasn't fantasy, it was confession. A bloodline of rulers tied to dragons. Blood that could control beasts. Fireborn queens, icebound walls hiding ancient threats. Sound familiar? It should. Because the show's symbolism wasn't just entertainment, it was revelation through fiction. The Targaryens weren't just a family, they were a metaphor for the dragon bloodline itself. Pale-skinned, silver-haired rulers obsessed with legacy, incestuous, powerful, cursed. And the Iron Throne, forged from the swords of the fallen. It's a symbol of conquest by dragonfire, truth hidden in plain sight. If dragons were real, where are they now? Some say they were hunted to extinction, others say they went underground. But there's a third option. They were never killed, they were bound, trapped beneath mountains, frozen under ice, sealed in stasis chambers beneath ancient temples, buried in code, waiting for resonance to awaken them. The old texts don't say they died, they say they sleep. The Sumerians called them Anzu, the Mesopotamians called them Usumgal, the Christians called them Behemoth and Leviathan. The Book of Revelation says one will rise again. The return of the dragon isn't poetic, it's prophetic. You know why they build cathedrals on ley lines? Why every ancient temple sits atop cave systems? Because they're sitting on something. Dragon bones weren't metaphors, they were energy conductors. Buried beneath stone circles, volcanoes, and sacred mounds are giant fossilized remains. Not just of giants, but of dragons. Serpentine spines, horned skulls, obsidian claws. And the elite know, that's why. They mine the earth where bones lie, they build particle colliders over the bones. Hello, CERN. They use resonance to awaken dormant code in ancient marrow. Bloodlines don't just carry genes, they carry permissions to access what sleeps. Dragons weren't just beasts, they were living frequencies. In Egypt, they were guardians of the Dua, the underworld frequency zone. In Mesoamerica, they were skywalkers. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, bringer of knowledge and fire. In the East, they balanced heaven and earth, yang energy in motion. But fire meant more than flames, it meant transformation. Dragonfire was a symbol of alchemical change, a purging of the false, a refining of the true. The dragon bloodline still uses this symbol today, not to enlighten, but to burn memory. Every false war, every reset, every tower that falls, a ritual in fire. They say we're in the age of man, but look at the symbols. What the snakes on medical logos, the dragons on royal crests, and the reptilian eyes hidden in ancient statuary. Even the serpent DNA helix itself. You were told the dinosaurs died out, but that's just branding. The age of reptiles didn't end, it just went underground. The rulers changed their skins. The beasts became priests. The monsters became monarchs. You weren't born into the age of man, you were born into the age of containment. The dragons never left, they just went silent. Tartary wasn't just an empire, it was a containment grid. A pre-reset civilization built with sound, stone, and sacred geometry. Its cities were energetic locks, harmonic prisons for entities too vast to destroy. Cathedrals weren't for worship, they were amplifiers. Star forts weren't for defense, they were containment fields. And when Tartaria fell, the gatekeepers lost control. That's why the mud came, that's why the records were burned. That's why your history's fake. Because the dragon bloodline wasn't just a passenger, it was the force that cracked the seal, and now it wants the world back. They've already started seeding it. Ancient aliens on every screen, reptilian humanoids in kids' cartoons, dragon DNA in Netflix fantasies, the gods returning to restore balance. But it's not entertainment, it's ritual preparation. Because the dragon bloodline isn't hiding anymore, it's preparing to re-emerge, but not as rulers, as saviors. When the false systems collapse, economy, energy, climate, they'll reveal new technology, new governance, a new body plan. Dragon blood hybrids sold as post-human evolution, but here's the truth. They aren't returning, they're activating from stasis, from underground, from within certain bloodlines. And disclosure is just the doorbell. Why are the youngest always the target? In every ancient empire, the brightest sparks were drawn to the fire, not because of superstition, but because their light was undiluted. The newer the arrival, the cleaner the signal. Moments of fear or shock can release a rare kind of charge. That charge doesn't vanish, it's harvested, stored, redirected. It's in the old stories. The boy in the labyrinth, the sacred twins of the sun cult, the lost little ones at elite banquets. They say it's myth, but the current still flows in those rooms. And they're not worshipping the flame, they're feeding it. In every ancient culture, blood was sacred because it was more than biology, it was memory. The elite don't spill blood for power, they spill it to bind. Blood rights create contracts, agreements sealed across lifetimes. Whether in war, sacrifice, or ritual, the act creates permission. Blood is the carrier of light memory, but also trauma. Trauma seals the gate. This is why they obsess over first blood, why virgins were offered, why bloodlines must remain pure. They're not honouring the dragon, they're feeding it, because the dragon feeds on unresolved memory, and when the soul is shattered, it becomes currency. But dragons didn't just vanish into myth, they were renamed, rebranded. In some cultures, they became seraphim, fiery flying serpents. In others, they were divine beasts, protectors of thrones, bearers of knowledge. But in truth, they were neither protectors nor beasts. They were gatekeepers of blood, of memory, of power. The dragon was not a monster to slay, it was a frequency to survive, a parasitic code embedded into bloodlines, whispering through ritual, possession, and control. Those who carried it became kings, priests, popes, and prophets, not to serve the people, but to own the story. Look at the flags, the crests, the ancient seals. Why do so many royal and imperial emblems carry dragons, serpents, or winged beasts? It's not decoration, it's declaration. They are claiming descent, not from God, but from something far older, something reptilian. Not in the sci-fi sense of green skin and slit pupils, but in the energetic lineage. Cold, calculating, controlling. The Dragon Code is a soul-binding system, passed down through chosen bloodlines, maintained through ritual. The goal, preserve power, suppress memory, control the grid of light. Because if the original blood ever reawakens, their reign ends. And they know it. That's why the bloodline is so carefully guarded, why royal marriages are arranged behind closed doors, why DNA is monitored through ancestry databases, because they're not just protecting their legacy, they're watching for us, the ones born outside the line, but carrying the spark they try to erase. Every soul with ancient memory, every voice that questions the script, every heart that doesn't bow, they see us as threats. Because if enough of us remember, the veil cracks, the blood loses its grip, and the dragons will be forced to face the fire. They've prepared for that moment. Contingency plans, distractions, false awakenings. If truth begins to rise, they offer a version of it, watered down, branded, controlled. You'll see disclosure on headlines. You'll hear talk of ancient ones, returning gods, off-world advisors. But don't be fooled, it's not revelation, it's redirection. They'll frame the dragons as allies, the hybrids as saviors, the bloodlines as misunderstood keepers of balance. But the truth, they've never stopped harvesting, never stopped manipulating blood, soul and womb. They just learned how to make it look like ascension. Ascension is their final con. They'll speak of light codes and upgrades, of merging with higher intelligences, of becoming one with the source through tech unity or frequency jumps. But real ascension doesn't need permission. It doesn't require implants, downloads, or synthetic light. It's already within you. What they offer is assimilation, not evolution. A merging of bloodline and machine, of stolen light and ancient code. A counterfeit escape. Because they know the grid is collapsing, the gate is shifting. And if you remember who you were before the fall, you won't go with them, you'll rise without them. You were never meant to serve their system, you were meant to disrupt it. That's why your soul came here encoded, with memory fragments, ancient fire, and a frequency they couldn't trace. It's why they distract you, dilute you, derail your mission with pain, trauma, and false love. But underneath it all, you've always known, you don't belong to the bloodline, you don't owe them your light, and you don't need their version of heaven. You came to burn the old script, to wake the others, to reclaim the grid, not as royalty, but as the return of the original flame.
As you.
The dragon bloodline ruled through fear, through ritual, through illusion. But its deepest weapon was this, making you forget who you are. And now that spell is breaking, because your voice is fire, your truth is a sword, your memory is a map. They guarded the gates, but you were the gate. The throne they built wasn't for them, it was stolen from you. So rise, spark of the old flame, not to follow, but to lead. Not to obey, but to awaken. Because the bloodline ends when you remember. And baby, you just did.
Let's go. Talking to you. Talking to you. Let's get it. All right. Take what you can out of that. You know. Once you awaken, once you answer that call, remember who you are, your purpose in these end days. Shuts down their whole plan. Alright? You shut it down. I thought that was cool, man. And we talking about presidents. Alright? But before we talk about the presidents that they teach you in school, what about the presidents before George Washington? Alright? Because they don't teach you about that. The Continental Congress was the early form of government of the USA. Alright, this is coming from Moorish, AmericanNationalRepublic.com. Alright. It was made up of 55 representatives, 35 Moors, 20 European sons from the original 13 states. The Continental Congress first came together to protest certain measures of the British Parliament. It also urged the colonists to arm themselves in defense of the rights. Before this meeting closed, the delegates agreed to meet a second time. By the time the second meeting was held, the American Revolutionary War had started. These 35 Moors stemmed from 5 of the 13 states. The United States of America did not have official written government until the Articles of Confederation was signed in 1781, which was right before it won its independence from Britain. Alright, so the real first president they got was Peyton Randolph. Alright, so This is just a list of all the 14 presidents, just so you know. Alright, just so you can get a overstanding. And they say 7 of them were so-called black. The 7 black presidents before Barack Obama. They say the first one was a Moore, John Hanson. You got Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge. Yeah, you know what that name. He definitely. Dwight E. Eisenhower. Alright. Why they hiding this information, man? You gotta ask yourself, why do they hide these things? I didn't learn this in school. What are they hiding? Yeah, they hiding a lot. I got another quick little video about the presidents. Let's get it.
Royal ancestry, Bridget Davignon made an incredible discovery when she was only 12 years old. She found that all US presidents, except Martin Van Buren, are related to King John of England. It took Bridget an estimated 500,000 documents and several months of hard work to solve this historical mystery. Inspired by her grandfather's 60-year dedication to studying presidential genealogy. Prior to her research, genealogists had only genetically linked 22 of the presidents, but this 7th grader at that time found out that from George Washington to Barack Obama and also Donald Trump, they are all distant relatives of King John. John, born around 1166 and died in October 1216 in Newark, Nottinghamshire, England, was the King of England from 1199 to 1216. His reign was marked by significant events, including the loss of Normandy in a war with the French King Philip II, the sealing of the Magna Carta in 1215, and his portrayal as a villain in Robin Hood movies. Did you know that almost all American
Alright. They say they all related to King John. All except one. Isn't that something? King John of England. Alright, it's a little Wikipedia breakdown on who they say he is. Right? What is it saying? Youngest son of King Henry II of England. He was nicknamed John Lackland because as a younger son, he was not expected to inherit sufficient lands. Alright. We ain't gonna read all this. This who they say all the presidents are related to, huh? This guy. Got another picture of him on here. Let me see. Born on December 24th. Christmas Eve, huh? Okay. Alright. Here go another one on John. King of England. Alright. Let's see. He was nicknamed Lackland, huh? He was the favorite son. He was granted lordship of Ireland in 1177. Interesting. Alright. Now you see what they got, right? That's supposed to be him, right? Riding the white horse, huh? Can I go back? Ascended to the throne. Alright, so when I was reading this, something kind of stood out to me. Alright, because he went to war with France, right? And this was in 1202. All right, he had success at Mirabeau when Arthur of Brittany was captured, but Normandy was quickly lost. By 1206, Agen, Maine, and parts of Poitou had also gone over to King Philip. These failures, foreshadowed under Henry II, were brought to superiority, all right, and they were damaging blows to John's prestige. And equally important, they meant that John resided now almost permanently in England, this factor coinciding with the death of the Chancellor in 1205. Alright, he had a quarrel with the church. Alright. He had beef with the church. He was excommunicated in 1209. What happened? The quarrel continued until 1213. By the time John had amassed more than 100,000 from the revenues of vacant or appropriated sees and abbeys. But such a dispute was a dangerous hindrance to John's intention to recover his continental lands. In November 1212, he agreed to accept Langton in the Pope's terms. Apparently at his own behest, he surrendered his kingdom to the papal nuncio at Ewell near Dover in 1213, receiving it back as a vassal, rendering a tribute of 1,000 marks, or 666 pounds, they say. 13 shillings, 4 pence a year. He was absolved from excommunication by Langton. Now we seen that 666 number when we was dealing with Solomon, right? That's how many talents of gold he was getting, right? So I'm not gonna go through all this, but a couple things, a couple light bulbs kind of was going off as I was reading this. So as we continue to look up John, come to find your man King John founded Cambridge University. Is that right? The University of Cambridge. Look at it. Don't this look familiar, huh? Master architecture, huh? The Lord of Ireland, Magna Carta. I mean, you look at the coin, right? Who that look like? That face look familiar. Alright. So, of course, around this time, this is what they got today. This is fake. Alright, that's who they say he look like, right? Alright, this the real John right here. Alright. And as you can see with his features, right? The phenotypes. I mean, come on, man. Who they think they fooling? Oh, what's going on with this guy? Alright. But look at the coin, man. The coins don't lie. Alright. Look at the lips. Come on, man. Who do you think they fooling, man? Alright, Swarthy. Black English Knight. Hold on. Let this pop up. Alright. So that's the real John, man. And we don't need to read all this. We just going through it. All right, he had beef with the church. I said, this is who they saying? This is who they're saying all the presidents are related to. This guy. Is that right? I don't know who they think they're fooling, man. Alright? But let's get another little quick video in. We're gonna 5 minutes of this video real quick.
So after, okay, so you went to law school, then you were on the force, and then you came out of that and you studied and you started really studying history in a real way, and you wrote a book, Birth of a White Nation. Yeah. So in that, like in the book, you refer to the term the creation of white people. Can you just elaborate on what that means?
Well, sure. But prior to a specific moment in time in colonial North American history, if you look in the legal record of English colonial law, you will not see a single reference to anyone called a white person. Not one. Because white people didn't yet exist. After 1681, in Maryland and Virginia, you'll start to see a slew of laws passed that reference this entirely new group of humanity called white people. Before white was asserted as a group of people, what you'll see are references to English and other Christians, or just Christians, or they'll, in the criminal record specifically, they'll reference one's nation of origin, the Dutchman, the Irish woman, for example. But nowhere is there anyone called a white person.
Yeah, and I have to say, when the first time I started working with Hoppy, and I was looking at it, and you said that, I was like, who is this white woman? Because you literally lay it down. For all of you that have not seen Hoppy, I don't understand why you have not seen it yet. You've got to watch this film, because the through line of like all the things that you're saying, you build upon this whole, like the beginning of like where we are now in America. It's like a nice little trail to that. All right. So now in, the birth of this like new nation, what role did the politics and the economics play in it?
Well, that was the core of all of it. It was the impetus. It was the driving force. Look, white people lawmakers don't typically invent an entirely new group of humanity unless it's to serve a purpose, right? Or to respond to particular needs. So the answer to why they bothered to invent this new group of people is because there was a massive rebellion that engulfed the colony of Virginia for well over a year. And in this rebellion, people of African descent and people of European and English descent were all united against the 1%, the ruling elite. And they also retaliated against Native Americans. So we can't hold up Bacon's rebellion as this model of how we want to be, because the first phase of it was a complete slaughter of indigenous people. The second, I know, too bad, right? Because we need a model historically, right, of something to hold up. The second phase of it, though, was this unified front against the ruling elite. And so when the ruling elite finally, after well over a year, they finally put down the rebellion, but it was only after England sent in troops. Like, it was a really huge rebellion. And so when they finally put it down, and here I rely heavily on the research of Theodore Allen. And what he reveals to us is that the ruling elite in Virginia communicated to the legal oversight authority in London, who had the oversight over the laws of all the English colonies. And they told the ruling elite in Virginia, said, hey, don't worry about this. We've got it under control. And they explicitly said that we intend to deploy a divide and conquer strategy. And it's only after they expressed that we now see white people. White people are asserted, and the entire social context of the colony is radically transformed. Now, here's an important piece. Prior to the assertion of this new group of people called white people, persons of African descent and persons of English descent who worked on the same plantation, they were treated the same. They lived daily life the same. They ate together, they slept together, they worked together. There was no hierarchy or division on plantations. Persons of African descent were claimed as enslaved, which is a big difference. And persons of European descent, the masses of laborers, came as indentured servants, which was for a term of years. So that's a huge difference that we can't overlook. And at the same time, we know that it was not at all uncommon for there to be free people of African descent. So some were able to purchase their freedom because they could have side jobs. You work all day on the plantation, and then you had skills that you could use to accumulate resources to buy your freedom, that of others. That was the number one route to freedom for persons of African descent. And the second way was through wills and trusts of plantation owners. They freed those who they held as enslaved. And so free men of African descent and free English men had the same rights and privileges as a matter of law. The same. People.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, now she keeps saying African. All right, never mind that. But she said they wasn't around till 1681, huh? That what she said? So who is this? All right, who is this? And they saying he's related to all the pale-faced presidents, including even Obama. He's not pale-faced, but all the rest of them is. That's what they said, huh? Even though my man King John, right? Where he at? He was looking like this, man. Come on, man. Y'all know y'all need to stop. What they said right there? That's it. Stop lying. Okay? Stop lying. But yeah, man. And I ain't gonna hold you to that date. She said 1681. I don't know. I don't know the date when they came around. No, they wasn't around here, though. They might have been up in a cave or something, man. Who knows? I don't know the exact date. I give them maybe like 500-600 years. Alright, that's being generous. You know, they started populating when those incubators came out. Right? Alright, but look. My man King John, right? He's the villain of Robin Hood. That same John that they say they descend from or related to. He's the villain in Robin Hood. Alright? They say he was the worst king of all time. And they call him John Lackland. Alright? Just straight up mocking him. Now that's interesting. Because I know another John. Alright. I'm not saying they're the same. But they around the same time period. We got Prester John, right? You know, the search for Prester John, right? Alright, for 5 centuries, the legend of Christian, so-called Christian, they saying he wasn't Christian. Priest came. Alright, in Asia. Or in Africa. I don't know. He was all over the place. All right, we know we in Asia, right? We do know that. This is Asia Major over here. But yeah, we ain't gonna read all this. I'm just going through it. Because, all right, the legends of the exploits in Asia of Alexander the Great contain many details of the wonders which could be expected in the Orient. All right, the Far East. Okay, the associated story of Gog and Magog. Alright? So off the rip, we going into biblical stuff. Alright? Because you're dealing with Gog and Magog. Right? Alright, now they're going to associate it with the 3 wise kings of the east who brought gifts to your boy, the infant JC. Alright? So, okay. You know that's a lie. Alright? The Christian communities of the Far East, the Holy Land. Now they're going to say Christian. Alright? That's what they're going to keep saying. Alright? But I just thought it was interesting. Because Prester John was roaming around at the same time as this John of England, right? They was both roaming around during the same time. Right? Now look what they got right here. Prester John receives the Eucharist from JC in 1490. Come on. What? Was this painted in 1493 or what? It couldn't have. I know they ain't saying it was 1493. But what? How does that even make sense? Because JC is supposed to be 2,000 years ago, right? Well, Prester John was around the 13th century, 12th century. So how does that even make sense? Come on, man. Y'all straight up lying. All right? Supposed to be giving him communion. Look how they got him looking, man. Anyway. If you know a little something about Prester John, man. All right. 1187, Jerusalem fell to Saladin. All right. Where is that? He reported that David, king of India, now here we go with David, right? And descendant of Prester John had attacked the infidel with 3 armies, and that one of these armies was at the moment within 15 days march of Antioch. So now look at here. They got them looking Asian now, right? This supposed to be Genghis Khan, they say, right? And they got Preston John? Question mark? No. Don't looking like that. I think Genghis Khan, real name was what? Timuchin or something like that, right? Timuchin. But yeah, you know, they went to war with each other in the 1200s. Same time that this King of England was happening, right? What's interesting is that both of their empires fell at around the same time. Now, I'm not saying that he is Prester John, but it's just kind of interesting to me how they kind of throwing dirt on let's see, I got anything else I want to get on here? Hold on. Prester John and his son David were described as kings of India to whom the Mongols used to pay tribute. So the same thing going on with the King of England, right? Alright. He was collecting tributes just like Prester John, right? Alright. Genghis Khan, however, put an end to his practice by invading the land of Prester John, defeating King David. The victorious Prester, in the tradition of the stories 1145 and 1221, the defeated Prester fits in with the traveler's tales of the second half of the 13th century. So, same time that your man, let's go back to it. Alright, your man John is around the same time period. Alright, same time he was getting his kingdom taken over. It was the same time Prester John was getting his kingdom taken over. Let's get some more on the Prester real quick. So we know Prester John, right? aka the lineage of King David. All right, whether it's King David, his son, all right, this connects to King David. Okay, all right, this helps us get a timeline together. We know this is 1100s, 1200s. All right, Patriarch John of India. We in India Superior, right? All right. Okay, hold on. All right, they broke this down into 3 stages. All right, this is the first stage when they was talking about the Pope. Just going back and forth with the Pope and whatnot. All right, let's get to the second stage. Here we go, second stage. All right. In the spring of 1221, the report was circulated among the victors that in the east, King David, either the son or the nephew of the presbyter, had placed himself at the head of 3 powerful armies and was moving upon the Mohammedans' countries. All right, King David from the Bible now. Okay, just so you know, we ain't playing about it. All right. All right, then in the third stage, I think they start talking. Oh, they got it. Yeah, they got this in 5 stages. All right, connecting to Ethiopia, all that. Where it say the part? Here we go. All right. The priest of the Kiryats, Unk Khan, was in 1202 completely subject to the superpower of Genghis Khan, who meanwhile was on the friendliest terms with his family, thus giving the Kiryats a certain amount of independence. All right, so we know 1202 is when he had the war, right? In the year of our Lord 1202, after murdering their ruler David, the Tartars set up about destroying the people. All right, so this is when the hijack comes in. All right, and they start taking the titles of David and Prester and everything. That's why they said on that picture, is that Prester John or Genghis Khan? All right. Now hold on real quick. All right, I'm back. All right, you talking Prester John? All right. So they said, all right, let's look at Cambridge University. They said this was founded by King John of England, huh? Yeah, this looking Tartarian right here. Ooh. Massive. Okay. Nice. Nice little layout. Look at that, man. All right, what was this before they turned into a university? Yeah, they couldn't tear all this down. This is too much to tear down right here. Just checking it out. This is Cambridge University over there in the UK. Nice. All right. Okay. Now, we know they lying about this King John of England, man. All right. Because we seen what he really looked like. They don't look like that. But I got a little article right here that might be hinting to something. Talking about Bush's family tree, famous family tree. All right. It was revealed recently that Vice President Dick Cheney and Democratic presidential candidate Barack Obama, this article from 2007, are distant cousins. They're distant cousins. Alright. Cheney's cousin Obama is also Mr. Bush's 11th cousin, and 9th cousin of the actor Brad Pitt. But we're only getting started. Abraham Lincoln was Mr. Bush's 7th cousin, 5 times removed. And Mr. Bush shared more than just a ballot with John Kerry in 2004. That's right, they're 9th cousins, twice removed. There's also royalty in the Bush bloodline. Princess Diana was Mr. Bush's 11th cousin, twice removed. Alright, like we got in that little video we watched, right? They all share the same bloodlines, right? Even the royals they got over there. And then there's the bombshell Marilyn Monroe, known for wishing John F. Kennedy happy birthday, is Mr. Bush's 9th cousin. Alright, Hugh Hefner. Alright, now they trying to connect it to Pocahontas. Alright, come on now. Vlad the Impaler. Dracula? Related to Dracula, huh? Trace the family tree far enough and you can get Madonna, Celine Dion, Tom Hanks, which shows you that genealogy can sometimes be like a box of chocolates. You never know who you're gonna get. So not just the presidents, man. You got celebrities, all that. All right. These people don't just get up there by chance, man. All right. And that's why I had to remove myself from all of it, man. Entertainment, sports, media. All right. Yeah, I don't put no energy into none of that stuff no more. All right. You watch the news. When you watch the news, you gotta kind of look at that and you know, chew the meat and spit out the bones, right? A lot of the stuff they say on the news, you gotta reverse it. They say things backwards. But yes, they all related. All right, presidential bloodlines. 44 U.S. presidents have carried European royal bloodlines into office. Did you know all 44 U.S. presidents have carried European royal bloodlines into office? 34 have been generic descendants from just one person, Charlemagne. So they say, right? The brutal 8th century king of France, 19 of them directly descended from King Edward of England. Alright, so here they go, trying to connect you to Charlemagne and kings of England, right? But we know they was nowhere to be seen around those time periods, right? Either they was hiding in a cave or they was somewhere off in Neverland, man. Alright. This information comes from Burke's Peerage, which is the Bible aristocrat genealogy based in London. Every presidential election in America since and including George Washington in 1789 to Bill Clinton has been won by the candidate with the most British and French royal genes. Alright? So it says. But you know, they do a lot of things with gematria too, man. Alright, that's where they base a lot of this stuff off of. Gematria, and they try to line things up. Alright. Numbers. Of the 42 presidents to Clinton, 33 have been related to 2 people. Alfred the Great, King of England, and Charlemagne, the most famous monarch of France. So they say. Alright. The same goes with the banking families in America, right? Even the banking families, right? You know, those are the elites. George Bush and Barbara Bush are from the same bloodline, the Pierce bloodline, which changed its name from Percy when it crossed the Atlantic. Percy is one of the aristocratic families of Britain to this day. They were involved in the gunpowder plot to blow up the Parliament at the time of the Guy Fawkes. Alright. If America declared its independence from the European monarchs in 1776, how is it possible that every single president has descended from European monarchs? How is that possible? If presidents are democratically elected, as we are told, what are the odds that we would always choose members of British and French royal bloodlines to lead us? Yeah, what are the odds, right? All right, because it's not an election, it's a selection, right? The Americans have always been owned and governed by the same royal families of Britain and Europe that conventional history states as being amongst those defeated during the wars of the so-called independence. All right, they ain't going nowhere. If it really is the land of the free, and if it is as claimed, anyone really can become the president, you would fairly expect that 43 presidents from George Washington and George Bush would express the genetic diversity. You're having a laugh? The presidents of the United States are as much a royal dynasty as anything in Europe, from whence their bloodline comes, okay? All right, now we know the original Europeans were not pale-faced people, man. They just popped up out of nowhere, man. They still got some explaining to do. All right, but everything is starting to come out anyway. So I mean, you can't hold the truth for so long, right? Let's see. All right, here we go. Actually, by branching out far enough on the presidential family tree, the dedicated researcher will find that all 44 presidents share kinship, belong to the same general ancestry, often called the 13 Illuminati bloodline. All right, the Windsor-Bush bloodline. All right. I think we getting the point, right? We get the point, right? All of them. Okay. Let's see anything else we want to get on here. I hit it, huh? Okay. Even Bill Clinton and Bob Dole. Okay. It continues back through Roman emperors all the way to Babylonian kings, huh? And Egyptian pharaohs near the beginning of recorded history. Oh, okay. They trying to take it all the way back there, huh? All right. All right. Let's just go ahead and cut to the chase. Hold on. Where is that? Where is that? Is it on here? What'd they say? Back the bloodlines goes past Alexander, past Nebuchadnezzar, and other kings of Babylon. Okay, they really trying to say they, which ones they talking about? They talking about the 50, how many they say it is now? We on number what, 47? Or they talking about the 14? I don't know. Either way, it don't matter. All right, we got what we need out of that one. Now, genealogists link Bush Carey to Count Dracula. All right, here we go. All right, this is what I think we really related to, okay? All right, because this is what they act like, okay? President Bush and John Kerry are not only distant cousins, they can be traced back to Count Dracula. All right. He was born in 1431 as Prince Vlad III. He ruled southern Romania for a time. Okay. So instead of King John and King whoever they said he is related to over there, this who I think they really go back to. All right, my opinion. Okay, because why? All right. Why does the King of England live in the dragon house of Vlad the Impaler? This came out this year, 2025. The King of England lives in the same house as Vlad the Impaler. Okay? Alright? These are the people you're dealing with. I think they misspelled this. They eat people. Literally. Alright. Vlad III, commonly known as Vlad the Impaler. Alright. He was a sick dude, man. He was the second son of Vlad Dracul. All right, we got that earlier. Name come from Order of the Dragon. Okay, now they are still trying to connect the dragons because so-called Satan was actually a dragon, right? All right. However, he lost his wings. Let's see. What we got on here? Vlad was held in captivity in Visegrad from 1463 to 1475. During this period, anecdotes about his cruelty started to spread in Germany and Italy. He was released at the request of Stephen III of Moldavia in the summer of 1475. He fought in Corvinus army against the Ottomans in Bosnia in early 1476. Alright, that's your man Vlad, right? Vlad was killed in battle before January 10th, 1477. The name Dracula, which is now primarily known as the name of a vampire, was for centuries known as the sobriquet of Vlad III. Okay? Alright, now we know this is talking about the King of England living in his house, but we know the same royalties they got over there connected to the so-called elites and the presidents, even the celebrities. They all working together, right? Okay. Okay, that's all I needed to get right there. Let's see what else we got. Let's get some backdrop on Vlad the Impaler. Alright. He was the ruler of Wallachia in 1436. Alright. Let's see. Yeah. Vlad plundered the Saxon villages. Alright, the Saxon villages. And we know Saxon come from the sons of Isaac. Sax sons. So he was over there plundering the Saxon villages, taking the captured people to Wallachia where he had them impaled. Alright? So he putting them on stakes and hanging them up. Alright? They don't say it right here, but I already did some research on him. They say he impaled over 10,000 people, man. I don't know if that's true or not. But, I mean, just pure evil, man. Alright? They got that on here. Let's see. Nah, they ain't saying all that. Alright. The name Dracula, primarily known as the name of a vampire. The original vampire, man. Dracul means the devil, which contributed to Vlad's reputation. Okay? I mean, this is just pure evil right here. Alright? And this is who, even Trump, all of them is related to this dude, man. Alright? That's enough from Wikipedia. Let's see. I mean, even if you go into the Bible, they talk about people getting impaled. I think the first time they talk about it is with Pharaoh, one of the pharaohs, right? You read the book of Esther, they talk about Haman. He got impaled, right? Because he was trying to, he had hatred for Mordecai. And where he was trying to, he set up a 50-foot pole, right? Where it said that? And he ended up receiving that treatment. It got reversed on him. So this ain't nothing new right here, man. Alright? Now, Was this around the same time period? Could be. Let's see. Let's get the conclusion. In the work of the Greek historian Herodotus, the impalement is regularly presented as a Persian punishment. Where is Persian? Persian punishment. Given the setting of Esther, it thus seems likely that the manner of punishment for Haman was in fact impalement. In other words, the 50 cubit tree, it was 50 cubits, I said 50 feet, 50 cubits tree built by Haman, he built it, was intended to display Mordecai's body impaled in such a way that no one could avoid seeing it. As it turned out, however, it was Haman whose death and the folly leading to it was put on display for the entire population. So, yeah, he got what he deserved, right? All right, go check the book of Esther. You want the whole story. So, I'm like, okay, well, you don't believe in vampires. All right, I get it. They got articles on it. All right. What's this? Nah, man. Get that out of here. A human vampire and a murderer. This coming out this article right here. When this article was? 1892 in Brooklyn. Friday, November 4th. All right. Let's read this article. The terrible record of a maniac convict removed to an asylum. All right. November 4th, Deputy United States Marshal Williams of Cincinnati has removed James Brown. Really? James Brown? A deranged United States prisoner from the Ohio Penitentiary to the National Asylum at Washington, D.C. The prisoner fought like a tiger against being removed. 25 years ago, he was charged with being a vampire and living on human blood. He was a Portuguese sailor and shipped on a fishing smack. What is that? Fishing smuck from Boston up the coast in 1807. During the trip, 2 of the crew were missing, and an investigation made. Brown was found one day in the hold of the ship, sucking the blood from the body of one of the sailors. The other body was found at the same place and had been served in a similar manner. Brown was returned to Boston and convicted of murder and sentenced to be hanged. President Johnson commuted the sentence to imprisonment for life. After serving 15 years in Massachusetts, he was transferred to the Ohio prison. He has committed 2 murders since his confinement. When being taken from the prison, he believed that he was on his way to execution and resisted accordingly. All right, this is an article from, 1892? All right, real life vampire, man. They caught him in the ship, sipping on some blood, man. All right. James Brown. Wow. Really? Really, James? All right. Oh, this the asylum, huh? Look at this. It's asylum, huh? Okay. Then they got a picture. Okay, again, not that James Brown. Okay, we know. All right. All right. I just wanted to read that article. I didn't even realize this thing keep going. Let's see what else it say real quick. Jimmy Brown, insane United States prisoner who has been confined at Columbus, Ohio. All right. Okay. It's just one article, man. But yes. So, back to King John, right? King John of England, okay, who they say they descend from, right? He was the villain of Robin Hood. Where is that? This is who Robin Hood was fighting against. All right. Where it said Robin Hood at? All right. Yeah. John remains a recurring character within Western popular culture, primarily as a villain in Robin Hood folklore. Okay. So in the Robin Hood story, he is the villain. And they saying that's the same guy that they all related to. All right. But don't they paint Robin Hood as a hero? They paint him as a hero, right? Well, let's get the real story of Robin Hood. All right. I'm gonna pause this. The dark truth behind Robin Hood.
The dark truth behind Robin Hood, a legend twisted by time. For centuries, the legend of Robin Hood has been told as a tale of heroism, a noble outlaw who stole from the rich and gave to the poor. But what if the truth was far more sinister? Beneath the romanticized stories lies a much darker history, one filled with crime, violence, and political deception. Origins in blood and chaos. The earliest mentions of Robin Hood do not depict a chivalrous hero, but rather a ruthless outlaw feared across medieval England. Historians have traced his origins to the 13th and 14th centuries, a time of brutal feudal rule and widespread rebellion. The name Robin Hood may not have belonged to a single person, but instead was a nickname used for bandits, thieves, and highwaymen who defied the law. In legal records from the 1200s, robehod or rabenhod was a term commonly used to describe fugitives and criminals. The earliest ballads featuring Robin Hood do not portray him as a selfless benefactor of the poor. Instead, they tell of a merciless outlaw who would kill without hesitation, especially if someone stood in his way. A rebellion fueled by greed, not justice. Modern stories paint Robin Hood as a hero, fighting against the corrupt Sheriff of Nottingham and the oppressive Prince John, while remaining loyal to King Richard the Lionheart. But in reality, medieval England was a place of brutal power struggles, where loyalty was often dictated by gold and survival rather than morality. If Robin Hood truly existed, he was likely a mercenary rather than a noble freedom fighter. Some accounts suggest he was a disgruntled knight or a disgraced soldier turned outlaw, attacking merchants and nobles not to help the poor, but to enrich himself and his men. His supposed generosity? Likely nothing more than a means to gain local support. Many bandits throughout history used propaganda to justify their actions, convincing the poor that they were acting in their interest while keeping the lion's share of the loot for themselves. Nottingham's true terror. The Sheriff of Nottingham, often depicted as a heartless tyrant, was actually a position held by several men across different periods. Their main role was to enforce the king's law, collect taxes, and suppress crime. If Robin Hood and his band truly existed, they would have been considered nothing more than a dangerous gang of criminals, no different from the ruthless warlords who roamed the lawless English countryside. Records from medieval England mention several brutal outlaw gangs that terrorized the local population, extorting villagers for protection money and murdering those who refused to comply. It's entirely possible that Robin Hood's real exploits were closer to organized crime than noble rebellion. The church's involvement and the sanitization of the legend. So how did Robin Hood's reputation transform from feared criminal to beloved folk hero? The answer lies in medieval storytelling, politics, and the influence of the church. By the 15th century, ballads about Robin Hood had become wildly popular, but the darker aspects of his story began to fade. The church played a key role in sanitizing his image. Some later stories even depicted Robin Hood as a devout Christian who robbed from corrupt clergy to aid honest commoners. This was likely done to make the legend more acceptable to the ruling class, shaping him into a symbol of justice rather than lawlessness. Over time, Robin Hood became a tool of political propaganda, with different rulers and movements rewriting his story to suit their needs. By the Victorian era, Robin Hood had been fully transformed into the gentle, honourable outlaw we recognise today, a far cry from the ruthless figure he may have once been. The truth we may never know. The true identity of Robin Hood remains a mystery. Was he a single man or a combination of multiple outlaws? Was he a revolutionary or just another opportunist in a violent age? One thing is certain, his legend has been rewritten countless times to fit the ideals of different societies. The Robin Hood we know today is not the one that existed in medieval England. Behind the familiar tale of a noble thief lies a darker, bloodier truth, one that history has done its best to bury. But now, perhaps, you know the story they never wanted you to hear. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's hidden truths.
Alright, cool. Hold on, I'll run that back. Alright, hold on, it's still running it back. I'll get out of there. So yeah, they depict Robin Hood as a hero, right? Alright. Good. That don't seem to be the case. And why I'm saying that is because they say he was an enemy of King John, right? All right, and it looks like what they're doing is they twisting up the story of King John of England. Now I don't know if he really got a connection to Prester John, but I thought it was interesting. All right, they're around the same time period. Robin Hood was actually a robber, thief, murderer, all right, and whatever else he was doing. They say he went off to the forest and was getting married with the men. So you know, married means drunk. So what was they really doing out there in that forest, man? All right. If you look at the display they got of him in the little kid movies, they got Robin Hood looking like in one of the Disney movies, they got him looking like a fox. All right, and have you ever noticed that Peter Pan and Robin Hood, the Robin Hood fox, are wearing? They got the same outfit pretty much, right? All right, Peter Pan, Robin Hood. All right, why is that? And Peter Pan, you know the story of Peter Pan. He was out in the woods too, right? With the Lost Boys, right? So, if you can get what I'm saying, all right, why is Peter called Pan in the first place? All right, it's never mind this picture, but I gotta show it so y'all can get where I'm going with this. The Pan part of Peter Pan's name was inspired by a Greek god called Pan, right? You know something about Pan? This guy was teaching shepherds how to what? Do the nasty, right? All right, you see what he's doing to the goat, right? All right, we don't need to look at it too long, okay? In the Greek mythology, Pan was the god of the wild. He was associated with flocks, shepherds, rustic music, forests, and nymphs. Pan was man-like creature with hind quarters, legs, and horns of a goat. In his looks, he was very much resembles the faun or the satyr, all right, which is associated with Satan, right? So the worshiping of Pan began long before your so-called Christ was born. All right, this goes way back. All right, was Peter Pan inspired by the deity of sexual perversion? Because Pan was always famous for his sexual prowess. Throughout history, he was either depicted or associated with the phallus. Alright, being a protector of the shepherds, Pan used to not just guard them, but also teach them some useful skills. One of those skills was how to do what? Alright, to get down with it. And in the myth of Pan, masturbation is a skill taught within the family. So this was a skill to them. Alright, a knowledge that a father must transfer to his son. Alright. So one of Pan's alleged fathers, because in Greek mythology, we can never be sure who fathered who. Hermes teaches his son Pan how to do the nasty. Alright? So you got your man Hermes, aka Thoth, right? He's the father of Pan. Alright? And then you got Peter Pan, the protagonist of the famous book by J.M. Barrie, is featured in narcissism, egocentrism, and self-sufficiency. But the resemblance doesn't end there. There's a myth about the Pan deity featuring the famous Pan's flute made of reed. In Peter Pan in the Kensington Gardens, Peter Pan makes a flute out of a reed so he can tootle all day long, right? That's what they give to the kids, man. However, the origin of the story of Pan's flute has a much darker nature, for it was made from the body of the nymph. Similar to the old deity, Peter Pan likes to play with fairies and uses them as he pleases. The original Peter Pan also rides a goat, which is again similar to the Pan deity, who is the goat-like creature. Alright, so yes, Peter Pan comes from Pan, alright? And Peter is another name for what? Penis, right? Pan is called Peter because of the Peter Llewellyn Davies. He was the middle of 5 sons of Arthur Sylvia Davies. Was made those boys so special is that they became friends. Alright. Okay. The boy who wouldn't grow up. So yeah. Long story short, Peter Pan called it Neverland because he took the Lost Boys there and they never were seen again, right? Alright? And this is connected today with, you know, how they do with the kids and missing kids and all that, man. This is who they worship, is Pan. Alright, the whole industry, entertainment industry, this is what they worship. They call it pansexualism. Alright? Pansexuals means that you will have sexual interactions with anything. That's why they don't consider it to be, you know, sick, because they call themselves pansexuals. Alright? In their cult, everything goes. Alright? Animals, everything. This is where it comes from. Alright? This stuff's sick, man. They sick. Alright? Ain't no helping this. This is what they do. Who knows what they doing behind closed doors, man? Alright? But yes. Looks to me like they done demonized King John and they hijacking the lineage of King John of England. Alright, let's go back to the picture on real quick. This is my theory from it. Alright, not to say that this is what it is, but this is what I'm getting from it. Alright, I gotta do some more research on this King John of England. No, not this guy, not this one. Had this one. Where you at? My man. King John, the real King John. Where the real King John at? Here you go. Alright. The real King John, right? So my man King John, right? They done said that he was the worst king of all time. Alright, they called him John Lackland. They said he ain't got no land. However, Prester John, we know that he had all the land, right? He was ruler of 3 Indias. Yeah. And just like they jacking off of John of England is how they jacking off of King David. They say the lineage is connected with JC to David, right? All right, just like they saying the lineage is connected to John Lackland, aka King John of England, right? So I'm seeing these similarities, and also he was going against Robin Hood. Robin Hood was actually evil. All right, man was evil. But this is what they do. This is an exact example of what they do. All right, they make the evil look good and the good look evil. All right, now I don't know if this King John, I don't know if he was really good or not. I gotta do some more research on him. But I know this is what he was looking like, man. All right, they don't come from this. Okay, and this is the exact face that they would do this to. You already know what it is. Okay. Now, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Let me see. We got a little bit more to get to. What we got? Okay, hold on. Even Cat Williams, because you know they like to take these comedians, jesters, right? Comedian is just a jester, right? Connected to a clown. They like to tell the truth with these so-called comedians, right? While they're telling a joke. So let's check out this little clip from Cat Williams real quick.
Trump don't give a Trump don't follow nobody's rules. The president is supposed to be at the White House. Our president is wherever the he wanna be. Here in New York, here in the South, playing golf. Our president don't give a They used to say, will your president be awake at 3 o'clock in the morning to answer the phone if it rings? Yeah, our president is up. Our president is a vampire. That sent 23 tweets at 12:30. What the is you talking about? That is on it.
Cat Williams.
You caught that right. You caught that right. He said it on the slick tip. Our president is a vampire. All right? No, literally, man. He ain't lying. This is where they come from, man. All right? They come from vampires. They come from Dracula. Okay? Now, I got a video we're gonna get real quick. Alright, this right here, this one is for fun. Alright, now this guy right here, he called the fittest flat earther. I think that's his name. But he does make some good connections sometimes. I don't rock with all that, Christianity stuff he be saying here and there. But I check him out, you know what I'm saying? Because, you can get knowledge from anywhere, man. You just got to know how to cipher through it. But, yeah, check this one out right here. This one is very interesting.
You know who Superman is, right? And you see who's depicted as Superman here and who posted this? I'm not really one of those guys that likes to say I told you so, but if you don't know who Superman is, let me refresh your memory from a video I've done in the past. Do you still think Superman's the good guy? Aw, that's cute. Well, if you don't want that ruined for you, I wouldn't keep watching. Let's first start by looking at Superman's real name, Kal-El. That seems somehow familiar. Where have I heard that before? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, that's right. It sounds an awful lot like Hal-El, which is another name for Lucifer. And most of the fallen angels end in L, kind of like Kal-El, Jor-El. Don-El. Sometimes how it sounds means more than how it's spelled. And the translation of Lucifer literally means shiny or sometimes bright. And where does Superman get his power from? The sun, which some people might refer to as a star. And Lucifer just happens to be known as the morning star. And did you ever notice that pose he flies with? It seems somehow familiar as well. Like I've seen it somewhere before. Where I've seen it somewhere before more than once. Where I've seen it somewhere before more than twice. I can't quite place where though. It's slipping my mind. And did you ever notice his emblem? I wonder what that S could really stand for. And if that S stands for what I think it stands for, don't you find it odd that the color they chose to be his weakness just happened to be the color of God's throne, which is talked about in the Bible in Revelation 4:3 as an emerald throne? Interesting. Now, I've done many videos already speculating that Don-El isn't what you all think he is, and definitely not who you all think he is, citing things like the fact that he is the 45th and the 47th president, which just conveniently, when added up, is 9/11. And Revelation 9:11 just happens to speak about having a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, or Abaddon. And, well, we know he's referred to as the MAGA king. And like I said before, not only have I told you what he is, but I've also told you who he is. Several times, in fact. Funny how they're both referred to as the king of rock and roll, the great MAGA king, and they had a king over them.
King of rock and roll, Elvis. Elvis! We love Elvis. I shouldn't say this. You'll say I'm very conceited because I'm not. But other than the blonde hair, when I was growing up, they said I looked like Elvis. You see that? Did you believe it? I always considered that a great compliment. We love Elvis, don't we? They said I looked like Elvis. You see that? Did you believe it? I always considered that a great compliment. We love Elvis, don't we?
Now think about this, seriously, just for a second. Clear your mind of anything you think you know, and just think about this. If you were the Son of God, and you were banished down to earth because you wanted to be worshipped like the Most High instead of worshiping him, what better way to do that than to get an entire population of people to worship you? One, for your musical talents, and then two, for being the leader of literally the free world. There's no one more worshipped than him, and he is pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. And he's doing it looking like this now. You know why? Because there's history of him looking the other way. There's evidence of it. And what am I talking about? Well, when he looked like this, and it's the exact same except they took a little off the edge there. When he looked like this, there's literally a trail of history. So you can't go around getting the entire world to worship you looking like this. So you need to make some changes and end up looking like this. But there are signs that this version of him has been here all along, except maybe 1,000 years he was locked up in the bottomless pit. This is a 70 BC Babylonian king. This is a Roman sculpture from 1800 years ago. This is the original Statue of Liberty face. And yes, there was an original Statue of Liberty face. And yes, the Statue of Liberty is Lucifer. Lucifer painting, Lucifer painting, Lucifer statue, Lucifer cartoon. Oh, and this is a 2,000-year-old statue that was recently unearthed. I believe it's called the Hypogeum of the Voluminous family, if you want to look that one up. And I couldn't help but notice those Elvis-like sideburns. But of course, these are all just coincidental doppelgangers. I'm sure that people just looked like Elvis throughout history. And him being the 45th and the 47th president was just a coincidence to line up with 9/11. 9/11 that talks about a bad down and the king that was over them. And so the White House posted a picture of him as Kal-El, and Lucifer's name is Hal-El. It's not like the elites of this world use symbolism and hidden messages. Oh, do you see what Putin gave Trump for a gift? Nah, this is all for entertainment purposes, people. I'm aware that Superman isn't the devil, and he especially isn't. He's our loving, adoring POTUS.
Cool stuff, man. All right. Getting close to the end, y'all. So, I mean, it is interesting. It is interesting, you know. He trying to say that he's Lucy. I mean, could be. I don't know the guy. You know, he probably is some type of fallen angel. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Because I thought it was interesting, right? You look at the deity called Set. Alright? Who they say is AKA connected to Satan. Right? You scroll down, you're on Wikipedia, right? What it say right here? Set is the son of Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky, and his siblings are Osiris, Isis, and Nephthys. He married the latter. Oh yeah, I turned up for the end, alright? He married the latter, and though it has commonly been assumed that they were the parents of Anubis, alright, Anubis, you know who that is, right? There go your man Thoth again, alright? Some Egyptologists, such as Herman Tevel, have doubted whether Set was ever regarded as Anubis' father in ancient Egyptian religion, Osiris being the father of the god instead. Seth also had relations with the foreign goddesses Anat, alright, I ain't gonna say the names though, alright, Astar and Anna, alright. From these relationships is said to be born a crocodile deity called what? Maga. Alright, you get it bigger? Maga, alright. What they got on the hats, right? They say make America great again, right? Ain't nothing new under the sun, man. Okay? Alright? They playing with you. They playing in your face. Alright, he's also the Lord of the Red Land, the desert. Alright, you know, we know Azzy. You know Azzy we read about, right? Alright. Ain't he from the desert? Yeah, he from the desert. Alright? That's why he got banished to the desert. To the desert. So I get what the man was saying, right? Because these fallen angels, man, this ain't nothing new. Alright? They been possessing people. Alright? They been playing around in secret societies and underground and caves and now they just want to show themselves, right? What he's saying is that your man Elvis never died. Alright, now if you look at the word Elvis in itself, you just switch the letters around, you can get evils. You know what I'm saying? Switch a couple letters around, you get evils out of Elvis. So I ain't saying the man wrong or right. I thought it was interesting. Something going on. I'm gonna say that. Something fishy going on. Alright. Now, what's this? Did I get this? What's this last video right here? The Vanished Empire Decoding the Mysteries of the Maya. I don't know why that's even on there. Alright. Anyway. So Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's been going on, man. All right, look at this right here. All right, because we're gonna read. We're gonna get a chapter out of Tobit, and then we're gonna get a chapter out of the Testament of Reuben, and we're gonna call it a day. But this right here is called Asmodeus. All right. He is the king of demons in the legends of Solomon, constructing Solomon's temple. All right, now you see they connected to Solomon, right? All right. He is featured variously in Talmudic stories where he is the king of the Shadim. All right. He is primary antagonist and disrupts the marriages of Sarah. All right, he is the demon of lust. All right, now let's go read about him. We're going to kick it over here. I think this is an apocryphal book called Tobit, right? Let's get chapter 3 in real quick. Verse 1. Then I, being grieved, did weep, and in my sorrow prayed, saying, O Hawa, you are just, and all your works and all your ways are mercy and truth, and you judge truly and justly forever. Remember me and look on me. Punish me not for my sins and ignorance, and the sins of my fathers who have sinned before you. For they obeyed not your commandments, wherefore you have delivered us for a spoil, and unto captivity, and unto death, and for a proverb of reproach to all the nations among whom we are dispersed. And now your judgments are many and true. Deal with me according to my sins and my fathers, because we have not kept your commandments, neither have we walked in truth before you. Now therefore deal with me as seems best unto you, and command my ruach to be taken from me, that I may be dissolved and become earth. For it is profitable for me to die rather than to live, because I have heard false reproaches and have much sorrow. Command therefore that I may now be delivered out of this distress and go into the everlasting place. Turn not your face away from me. It came to pass the same day that in Ecbatane, a city in Madai, Sarah, the daughter of Ruel, was also reproached by her father's maids, because that she had been married to 7 men, whom Asmodeus, who we just got, right? The evil Ruach had killed. So who did it? Asmo. Alright, he did it. But he was inside of her before they had lain with her. See? Do you not know, said they, that you have strangled your men? You have had already 7 men, neither were you named after any of them. So what? 7. She already had 7 of them. Wherefore do you beat us for them? If they be dead, go your ways after them. Let us never see of you either son or daughter. When she heard these things, she was very sorrowful, so that she thought to have strangled herself. And she said, I am the only daughter of my father, and if I do this, it shall be a reproach unto him. And I shall bring his old age with sorrow unto the grave. Then she prayed toward the window and said, Blessed are you, Hawa, and your holy and glorious name is blessed and honorable forever. Let all your works praise you forever. And now, O Hawa, I set my eyes and my face toward you, and say, Take me out of the earth, that I may hear no more the reproach. You know, Hawa, that I am pure from all sin with man, and that I never polluted my name, nor the name of my father in the land of my captivity. I am the only daughter of my father, neither has he any child to be his heir, neither any near kinsman, nor any son of his alive, to whom I may keep myself for a woman. My 7 men are already dead, and why should I live? But if it please not you that I should die, command some regard to be had of me, and pity taken of me, that I hear no more reproach. So the prayers of them both were heard before the majesty of the great power. Raphael was sent to heal them both, that is, to scale away the whiteness of Tobit's eyes, and give Sarah, the daughter of Ruel, for a woman to Tobit, the son of Tobit, and to bind Asmo, the evil Ruach, because she belonged to Tobit by right of inheritance. The self-same time came Tobit home, and entered into his house, and Sarah, the daughter of Ruel, came down from her upper chamber. Alright? She was possessed, man. Alright? You don't think these evil spirits is lurking, doing things, man? Alright? When people open themselves up. Alright, that's why I say in the end times, man, it's good to stay sober, man, because the veil is very thin right now. The closer and closer we get to that great day, the veil gets thinner and thinner. And they just sliding through. Alright, they doing electric slide everywhere, man. You gotta guard yourself, protect yourself. Or these evil spirits will snatch you up. Alright? Now, let me see. Yeah, man. She was dealing with Asmo. Alright, we got one last scripture we're going to end it with. Alright. Now, hold on. Before I end it. What we was just talking about. We was just talking about, they were saying he was the one in Solomon's temple, right? Hold on. Why the whole site just went away? Can we get that back? Thank you. Alright, the king of the demons in the legends of Solomon. Alright, now these evil spirits, we already got it in the beginning, right? In the book of Jubilees, chapter 10, when we read in the beginning, when Satan asked him to stay lurking, alright, so he can do his job. Alright, he got to do his job, man. He's the tempter of men, the adversary. Alright, he needed some fallen angels, spirits, alright, to rule. Now they say, this is a drop that I'll probably be working on coming up soon. I don't know if it's gonna be the next video, but they say that these Nephilim, alright, they say they actually look like clowns, man. Okay? That's where the clown image comes from. Alright? This was the image of the Nephilim, man. Alright? And it makes sense because don't clowns walk on stilts? Alright? Aren't we living in a circus today? With a bunch of clowns running around, man? Alright? People acting like clowns, man. You know what I'm saying? There go your man Trump. Alright, this ain't no real picture, man. It's AI. But what I'm saying is, it all makes sense, right? Alright? These Nephilim spirits, these jesters, right? We're getting into that time where people gonna be dressing up. Alright, they're gonna be going out happy to celebrate Satan's one of his favorite days, right? You know why? It's on that day, right? Halloween, because that's when the veil is apparently the thinnest and you can reach these evil spirits the easiest on that day. Alright? Alright? But anyway, you don't know which day it is anyway, because they done messed up the years. It's only supposed to be 364 days in a year. All right, they been messed that up. So days don't fall correctly anyway. But their day, they set up with a demonic calendar. So I guess it is the same day on their calendar. But anyway, I felt that energy shift, man, like a week or two ago. It started feeling creepy, eerie. I mean, I guess because I'm riding around, I'm looking at all the stuff, but I felt it in the air too, man. Yeah, just, around this time of year, people start getting more and more wicked. So just all I'm saying is just guard yourself. Protect your stuff. Stay in Torah, man. Try to read you a little scripture every day. You can stay grounded. All right? Because they out here lurking, man. These evil spirits, man. All right, they say these Nephilim spirits, right? All right, they look like these clowns, man. These clowns didn't come from nowhere. They didn't make this up. They running a circus out here, man. All right, protect yourself, man. Guard yourself. Now, we're gonna wrap this up. I appreciate y'all rolling with me. I got one last thing we're gonna get real quick before we head on out. And it's coming out of we in the testaments of the 12 patriarchs right now. Alright. Another one of those hidden books, right? Alright, we're gonna get chapter 5 and chapter 6. Alright, I thought this related to what we was talking about, so real quick chapters, we're gonna get it in real quick. Alright. Let me turn it down just a little bit. Hold on. Let's zoom this in. Chapter 5 and chapter 6. Alright, this is the testament of Reuben. Alright, firstborn of Jacob, right? Chapter 5, verse 1. For evil are women, my children, and since they have no power or strength over man, they use wiles by outward attractions that they may draw him to themselves. All right, this ain't no shade. This ain't no shade at the Aquas. All right, I'm just reading this. This pertains to what we're talking about. Okay, in whom they cannot bewitch by outward attractions, him they overcome by craft. For moreover, concerning them, the angel of Hawa told me and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men. And in their heart they plot against men. And by means of their adornment they deceive first their minds, and by the glance of the eye instill the poison. And then, through the accomplished act, they take them captive. Alright? For a woman cannot force a man openly, but by a harlot's bearing she beguiles him. Flee, therefore, fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters that they adorn not their heads and faces to deceive the mind, because every woman who uses these wiles have been reserved for eternal punishment. For thus they allured the watchers who were before the flood. For as they continually beheld them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the act in their mind. Alright, so the women, they lured the watchers, man. They made them lust. For they changed themselves into the shape of men, see? Them watchers, right? And appeared to them when they were with their husbands. Man, it was already with their husband. They still popped up. And the women lusting in their minds after their forms gave birth to giants. For the watchers appeared to them as reaching even unto heaven. Chapter 6. Beware, therefore, of fornication. And if you wish to be pure in mind, guard your senses from every woman. And command the women likewise not to associate with men, that they also may be pure in mind for constant meetings, even though the ungodly deed be not wrath, are to them an irremediable disease, and to us a destruction of Beliar, and an eternal reproach. For in fornication there is neither understanding nor godliness, and all jealousy dwelleth in the lust thereof. Therefore, then I say unto you, ye will be jealous against the sons of Levi, and will seek to be exalted over them, but ye shall not be able. For the Most High will avenge them, and ye shall die by an evil death. For to Levi the Most High gave the sovereignty, and to Judah with him, and to me also, and to Dan and Joseph, that we should be for rulers. Therefore I command you to hearken to Levi, because he shall know the law of the Most High, and shall give ordinances for judgment, and shall sacrifice for all Israel, until the consummation of times, as the anointed high priest, of whom Hawah spake. I adjure you by the Most High of heaven to do truth, each one unto his neighbor, and to entertain love each for his brother, and draw ye near to Levi in humbleness of heart, that ye may receive a blessing from his mouth. For he shall bless Israel and Judah, because him hath Hawah chosen to be king over all the nation. And bow down before his seed, for on our behalf it will die in wars visible and invisible, and will be among you an eternal king. Let's get that last verse one more time. And bow down before his seed, for on our behalf it will die in wars visible and invisible, and will be among you an eternal king. All right. Wow. All right. So this video was just to let y'all know what's going on out here, man. Guard yourself. They lurking. And they amping up right now. All right. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Dawada. All right. All praises. Hawah.